Hey y'all, how's it going? I'm trading the ES futures on a 2000 tick chart with a 21 EMA. So I've got the overnight high up here and the overnight low down here. These are our key levels for the day. I started trading at 8 Central Time, which is this area right here as we started bouncing up there. And so right when I started trading, since it was 8, I had my overnight high here. Of course, I knew that it could change before 8:30 because it can, the overnight high can obviously change while the overnight session is still active. And so we push out of it here, and then we retest that level here. And so we form a new swing right here, and this is still in the overnight session. And so I raised it up here, and just because it's retesting this level here that doesn't mean that it's accurate as the overnight high. It's very common to retest previous swing highs. And so I move it up here because we form a swing in the overnight session. Then we have this first entry long, second entry long, and there's no way I'm going to enter long directly into the overnight high. And that's not the only reason. It's also just getting sideways here. So, but certainly not into the overnight high. And so I avoided this long right here, and then we bounced off of it. We got this first entry long here, and then we get this first entry short, second entry short. And I'm not going to take this second entry short here because, even though you have a second entry, the EMA is up. It just bounced off the EMA, confirming it to the upside, and then it closed above. So there's no way I'm going to enter short into that. And then we get this bounce right here. So we get this large push down. Now, notice how, in this area here, we formed the overnight high. We kind of formed it on that first swing there and then confirm it once we bounce over there. And then we continue finding resistance. But this is the first real attempt off of it. It was kind of chopping around, but this is the first real attempt to reverse here. And so you would want to see 2 attempts before entering the opposite direction. You want to see 2 attempts. So these overnight highs and these overnight lows, they act as range highs and range lows. And the range rules are when you come off one side, you expect to reach the other side and then back to the other side. That's how ranges work. So price will naturally try to reach the other side of a range like a magnet. And so you only have one real attempt to reach the other side. You want to see another significant attempt before going long. Because I know when it breaks out right here, breaks out of this range right here, you're going to want to look to buy, but you have to consider the larger structures, which is, you only have one attempt to reach the other side. So when I got this higher low right here, I did not want to take that because that's just such an insignificant attempt down compared to this first leg. And so if we could have gotten a push up like this, and then we got a clear second attempt down right here, we could have gotten a long entry to fade this range right here, but we need another attempt down. So anyway, we continue up higher here. Unfortunately, no entries. We break out of the overnight high, and then we start going sideways and choppy. Now, when you break out of the overnight high, before you buy with the breakout, you need 2 attempts to fade before you buy. So, because most breakouts fail, you don't want to just blindly buy a breakout. You want to wait for a retest. Now, some may see this right here, first attempt to fade, second attempt to fade, but that's really just going sideways right there. Notice how on this leg here, it's the first leg to actually push out of this dotted range, and then the second one pushes way out and actually retests the overnight high. So clearly here, these are the 2 legs pushing out of this congestion. We're starting to look bullish. We break out, and then we have 2 attempts down, retesting the overnight high. We bounce right off of it. Good signal bar, closing above the EMA. I did use a limit order because I didn't want to push it out of these highs because I wasn't betting on a huge breakout. I was just betting on this setup working to the nearest resistance, being these range highs here. So I got filled with a limit order. It went and retested the overnight high one more time before spiking up, reaching the target. And so it ends up pushing out quite a lot. We start getting a little bit choppy, and then we have another leg up, and then we have this leg down, which actually breaks this trend here, which, of course, and the other thing about this trade here is that it's the third bounce off the key entry point. Notice this red channel here. Third bounce right there. There's all sorts of reasons to want to go long here, but it's only to the other side of this range. So anyway, pushes out. We get a correction here. It breaks the red channel, and then it just pushes up. There's no real reason to enter there. But we do push up, and then after we get this next swing here, that's when I start drawing this larger uptrend, or not larger, but I start drawing this next uptrend, this blue one, and seeing how it holds. And then we do get this third bounce here, but it's a first entry, and it's also clearly rejecting the EMA multiple times. And so there's no way I'm going to enter long there, because once again, you want to wait on 2 legs. This is just a first entry, clearly going sideways, rejecting the EMA. So I do not like that. But then here we get this first entry off the key entry point again. But once again, that's just a first entry. Plus we started getting this resistance right here. And so I did not want to enter long into that. And so then here, you can kind of see this failed second entry, first entry short, second entry short, first entry long, second entry long, failure, except it's right into this trend line here, so you cannot enter short on that. It's clearly, when it gets choppy like this, it's just bulls wanting to buy this uptrend and bears wanting to short this range right here. And so we push on down here. Notice how we get a break. We have this clear 2-legged retest of this overnight high. Kind of like how here we had this smaller retest of the overnight high, and then we got a push up from it. Here we can expect a larger retest, and if we can get a good setup, we can expect a much larger push off of it. Now, we get these 2 legs on a bigger picture. Of course, we can see that it's just 1 leg, and then we get a bigger picture second leg right after. But what you could easily get is after this 2-legged retest, you could easily push above the EMA and then get 2 attempts back, and then that would form a perfect failed second entry. Now, notice here you have this to the tick failed second entry. You can see first entry short, second entry short, failure. But really, the way I view this is we just have 1 first entry right there. So this is big picture price action. Instead of doing it to the count, to the tick, it's about these structures, bigger structures. So what I would want to see is this uptrend and then a 2-legged correction off this trend line right here holding. That would be a failed second entry, and you would be entering on the second attempt at a new high. So uptrend, break, and then this entry is the first attempt at a new high right there. And so I want to enter on the second attempt at a new high. That would be a good failed second entry, which unfortunately we don't get. And so there's no entry here. We just start plummeting down. We have a second leg down here. So basically, notice this first leg up here, break, and then this is the second leg up. Obviously, the measured move goes all the way up here. And then this second leg is very, it's like a more mellow channel compared to this spike up here, but we can still clearly tell there's 2 legs up pushing out of the overnight high, and then we immediately reverse back down. Now, notice here from this very long leg, we have first entry long, second entry long, failure. And even though it's 2 legs down right there, I mean, this second leg is just a lot bigger than this, and even if you combine them, you can really just view this as 1 leg down and then a clear 2-legged break right there. You don't get any clear trend on it because it's just such a sharp spike down, it ends up overshooting. But you can tell clearly this is a failed second entry, a very big picture one. And so I like this a whole lot right here. So there's nothing, it's a lot simpler than it seems. I mean, all this is right here is 2 legs up, pushing out of the overnight high, and then we immediately form a reversal pattern, a failed second entry. And so that's very typical. It's just happening on a big picture, and this is what you got to learn to see. You got to learn to see these bigger picture structures, these bigger picture failed second entries, and everything like that. So I liked how we just rushed below the EMA, clear 2-legged break, first entry long, second entry long, failure. So our entry is to go short. I did 1-to-1 because it clearly had some kind of resistance in this area here. It actually ended up pulling back on me for a bit before getting a second leg down. So I like that trade a lot right there. Definitely really good context. And so anyway, we start finding resistance down here. After we get those couple legs down, we have a little breakout there. We push back up, retest again. Very clear this range we've got going. We got those highs, got the lows. And then we push up, and then we can see this first entry short, second entry short, failure. So this is technically a failed second entry right here. It's obviously not very clear. It's getting very choppy, and I don't like this entry at all. It's just way too sideways, way too chaotic. But you can see that's basically what's happening there. And so we push up, we get that second leg. Notice how it's kind of like we have this downtrend break, new low, and then immediately leads into a 2-legged correction. And so we meet this measured move at this point right here. And this would be a good place to look for a reversal pattern. So you can get a first entry long, second entry long, failure. So if you could have gotten a good failed second entry right here, below the EMA, below this range high, perfect looking fade entry, then yeah, we could have gotten something. But unfortunately, we don't get anything. We just get 2 legs down and then reverse up, which isn't surprising because we found very clear resistance in this area here, and this is a sign of a bullish imbalance because when price is bouncing to the long side before you even reach these lows, that's clearly telling you the bulls are in charge of this range right here. The bulls are taking it out of this range. And so it's not surprising to see that we couldn't get a fade entry. It ended up just being a breakout pullback to continue, with the context of this bullish imbalance. And so could easily get a larger trend in play. We'll see how something like this holds. Let me just extend that. So anyway, that's really it for the day. We had that 2-legged breakout pullback here. We push up. So next opportunity that I would be hoping for is 2 clear legs back to the key entry point here. So if we can get something like this, just 2 legs back to the key entry point, we can definitely get a great looking entry. We certainly have good context for this uptrend. We clearly formed a bullish imbalance, so I would just want to continue this uptrend here. Of course, once you get in this area, you got to be careful of this overnight high, especially when you start taking higher highs or higher lows and failed second entries off of this key entry point. So anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it helpful. And yep, see y'all next time.